Game road trip is complete. Now 2 at home and then back onto the road. This is Three Guys Before the Game, episode number 614. Kercheval in the house. The senator is present and accounted for, and this is our TCU recap and our Utah preview. Thanks so very much for being with us. Three Guys Before the Game is brought to us by Tudor's Biscuit World. Start your day the homemade way with a Tudor's biscuit. By Comax Business Systems. They keep West Virginia's business data safe, secure, and efficient for 25 years. By Gomart. Get a Gomart rewards card. Go to gomart.com for details. By Lou Wendell Marine Sales in St. Albans. They sell family fun. Visit LouWendellMarineSales.com. And Spreads on Stats is brought to us by Conley CPA Group, providing value beyond numbers. All right, let's do this thing. West Virginia, since the last time we got together, has suffered a loss on the road to TCU. Final score, 65-60, Frogs. Tough one to digest. A lot of red numbers on my final stat sheet that I kind of circled around there. And, ouch. So we'll get into that. Plus, we're going to get into the preview against the Utah Utes. Hoppy's obvious observations will start things off. How are you?
Oh, yeah, I'm well. How are you guys? Welcome back.
Thank you.
Late night.
Yeah.
Late night for you guys.
Late night, early morning.
All right, I'll start with this. First of all, that it was almost like 5 different games within a game, right? I mean, just it seemed that way. Like for 7 minutes, the game was going one way. For 7 minutes, the game was going another way. Just very different over the course of those 40 minutes. I found this quote this morning. I don't have it exactly, but John Wooden said something to the effect that the key to defense is play with the intensity that causes the other team to become emotional, which was his way of saying getting in their head, right?
That's a good line.
Yeah.
That's very nice.
And West Virginia started that game. I mean, listening to you guys last night, West Virginia was in their heads, in their space, and in their heads, causing turnovers. They had points off turnover. And listening to you guys, you all were saying, oh, this is it. This is the way it works. This is how you do it. Mm-hmm. And it was that way for the first 15 minutes of the half. And then, and I'll defer to you guys on whether West Virginia's didn't have the same level of intensity for the last 5 and the first 5 or first 10 of the second half, or whether TCU was doing something, whatever, but obviously that it changed. It's very hard, if not impossible, to have the level of defensive intensity that West Virginia needs to have to win games for the entire game. That's hard to do. And there's a lot of pressure on this defense because West Virginia is just not the most prolific offensive team, right? Last night Javon gets his 20 late, gets his 20 and helps West Virginia's hanging in there. But who is the second guy? And that becomes even more evident on a week where you find out that Tucker DeVries, which we knew anyway, it wasn't going to be back. I mean, you no matter how long you go this season, Tony, you're still going to be missing that piece. There's nobody, I don't think, that has stepped up or capable of stepping up to fulfill the piece that is missing from Tucker DeVries not being there. So you didn't have that second score. And I know we'll get into details about this. You got a lousy whistle. I mean, a really bad whistle. And TCU, Brad, as you mentioned,
what was the word you just used?
I said lousy, bad. I mean, I know you'll have other.
What word would you use? What would you use?
Whatever's 10 times stronger than what he just said.
So I'll let you elaborate on that. But and Brad, you kept calling for TCU to miss free throws, and they didn't. I mean, they got the free throw line 23 times and made 20 or whatever. I mean, they were 20 points above their average in free throw shooting. West Virginia does not get to the line. And then.
Hold on, don't gloss over that. The reason I kept calling for a miss, they're one of the 8 worst free throw shooting teams in America, 63%. They shot 87% from the line last night.
It was, so that was,
go ahead.
And Tony, you called it last night because at some point, Coach DeVries, who's normally, has a working relationship with the refs, And as they got to halftime, he had an animated conversation with one of the officials. And Tony, you called it. You said, okay, you're going to start to get some calls here.
Got 4 in a row.
Yeah. So you did get some calls, but they were late. And then when you did get to the line, limited albeit, you missed a couple key free throws down the stretch, and they made free throws. So at the end, my summary is I think this is one of the most disappointing losses of the season for a variety of reasons. I would call it because that was right there, and you couldn't finish. You got a bad whistle. I would classify this as a prisoner of the moment, the most disappointing loss of the season.
Okay. I'm not going to oppose you on that.
You can. It's just those are my obvious observations.
No, I'm not going to oppose you on that.
All right.
We'll get into some of these numbers. But I just did do some simple math. In the last 2 games, 2 of the worst free throw shooting teams in the Big 12 are 31 of 35 in the last 2 games. Did not catch you against Cincinnati because the Bearcats were so woeful in their shooting at 32% from the field. But they were 11 of 12 at the foul line, and then TCU goes 20 of 23. Anyway, do I need to turn the delay on before you begin your comments? Because you see steam lifting off from Hoppy.
Yeah,
kind of like it was summer. You're driving down the road, and you look far away, and you see like steam coming up off the road.
You both were hot last night.
Numbers tell you the story. I'll just give you some numbers.
Okay, unemotional numbers.
I'll just do some numbers on the thing. But I will say this, and Hop, I said it to Tony last night, literally interrupted him, actually. He was giving the lineups for the referees, and the last thing I said before tip-off, thought he was taking a breath there. I thought I could slide this in there. Last thing I said was, those guys are going to matter tonight. The style in which they call this game is going to matter because the thinking was this is 2 teams that can struggle offensively at times, but it's 2 teams that are going to get after you defensively and apply some real defensive pressure. West Virginia clearly did that for a good stretch, and I thought TCU did as well. I mean, take the foul disparity out, which is absolutely abysmal and ridiculous and shouldn't happen, but I'll get into that. Take that out of it. I thought TCU did a really good job of pressuring West Virginia and pushing it out. That's part of why we kept calling for those cuts to the back, which eventually West Virginia did. Ends up with a season-high points off cuts because that worked. So TCU did a pretty good job too, but I just thought this style of officiating would matter, and I didn't mean that before the game in terms of what the foul shooting gap would be, although it turned out to be what it was. But I just thought the way it was going to be called mattered, and I thought you start with that line of thinking. And listen, we'll go through the shooting woes that existed for West Virginia for a long time until they caught fire. We'll talk about the inability to create points off turnovers for a big stretch of that game. TCU did tweak some stuff that affected that. But as I often say about this, you can't come in here and do an analysis of that game and just ignore the officials or just say, if you'd made another 3, you probably win, which is probably true. If you grab one more defensive rebound there at the end, although there might have been contact there, I'll get to that later. One more defensive rebound, you got a shot down 3 to tie the game with 9 seconds to go. So there are things within the game that West Virginia clearly could have done better to get you the win. But I think it's also disingenuous to talk about this game and not get into some of these numbers that were so far out of whack from the norms that they scream out to be discussed, Hop. That's always my point on this officiating. And I'm not going to get up here and bang the desk and scream and holler and go bananas, but I am going to ask some questions as we look at some of these numbers and say, how does that happen?
Well, the disparity was so great. I mean, the style of play was similar, right? The style was
very similar.
So the disparity is so great that it cannot be ignored. And that just is so. Tony, what was your thought?
I find it head-shaking and almost impossible that the Big 12's leading scorer, Javon Small, took 19 shots. Took 19 shots, the most by any player on the floor, and did not go to the foul line.
Whereas
did not take a single free throw. Meanwhile,
I know where you're going.
Vashawn Allette
of
TCU took one less shot from the floor, and he attempted 7 free throws. How Javon Small...
Do Reynolds.
Yeah, Reynolds also went to free throw line 7 times.
Do Reynolds.
7 shots.
Reynolds took 9 shots and took 7 free throws.
He did.
I find Javon Small in each of the last 2 games, including the Cincinnati win. Javon is going to the rim. He is getting hit. and they are not calling the foul, which makes zero sense.
So here's a question. And again, you guys were talking about this last night. There was a lot of action around the rim, and TCU was going to the rim. But so it seemed like every time that TCU went to the rim, they got a call. It seemed like when West Virginia went to the rim, did not get a call. That's what it felt like.
There was an abnormal amount, in my opinion, of calls on West Virginia on shooting fouls. And it was even less about going to the rim. Like there was one late where they went to the rim and got absolutely hammered by West Virginia. Okay, good call. There was an abnormal number in my mind, my opinion, when they would go into the lane and go up for a shot, and West Virginia's extending vertically just in guarding position, not trying to block a shot at a rim, but just going straight up and calling West Virginia on those. That you don't see that many. Tony, real quick, I'm going to break up some of these numbers so I'm just not rattling numbers
at people. Is this spreads on?
It's not, but it piggybacks off what you were just saying right there. It's some numbers, it's some contextual numbers to what you just said in your hypothesis that how the guy, it's the leading scorer in the Big 12 with the most shots on the floor, can't get to the line. You ready?
Yes.
If the season ended today, guys, Javon is in the 93rd percentile nationally in personal fouls drawn per 40 minutes. 93rd percentile.
Wow.
That's pretty good. Yeah. In getting fouls called on personal fouls drawn. Yet he didn't get to the line one time, as you mentioned. 8 of his 19 shots were in the lane or at the rim, and 0 were called as fouls. Conversely, Alette and Reynolds, you just mentioned, Tony, if the season ended today, those guys are in the 63rd and 65th percentile in terms of personal fouls drawn. So it's a big gap in how games are normally called. Normally, the way Javon plays, when he's getting shots at the rim and basket, there's contact. Teams are flying at him, and they're getting called. They did not last night, and oh, by the way, they did not at Cincinnati. That's 2 of the last 3 games where a guy that's in the 93rd percentile in fouls drawn has gone to the line 0 times. That's hard to do, guys.
Say that again.
2 of the last 3 games, Javon Small has not attempted a free throw, and he's in the 93rd percentile nationally in personal fouls drawn. That's hard to do.
You know, Brad,
and then the other 2 guys for them that are going to the line constantly are down in the middle of the pack nationally.
Brad, an exclamation point on that, going back to DeVries really being very animated, as you described, Tony, with one of the officials. And what is DeVries' style? Like, he doesn't just every time down the court berate the official.
He's very understated with officials.
Very understated, I think works on a relationship. Did you get the call? Did you miss the? I mean, he works it, but he works it in a respectful, co-equal kind of way. So you know when he blows a lid that there's something going on. I don't think he would do that if he did not think that things were over the line.
Yeah, it mattered last night, guys. It changed the outcome of the game. You mentioned that defensive start for West Virginia. Reynolds wanted no part of Sincere Harris after about 3 or 4 possessions. Sincere was in him. He was picking up full court. He was making it getting across half court difficult. And I thought the play that exemplified that was early on, they inbound the ball to Reynolds. Sincere jumps over on him and is right up against him. And Reynolds immediately kicks it back to Alette, like, I don't want this. You take it. Kicks it to Alette, and I'm sure Alette went, okay, I'll just bring it up. Sincere, in a flash, jumped over on Alette, picked him, laid it in. But then he gets a second foul called on him and goes to the bench, and there's a run of TCU. They get a net 11 points in that stretch with no Sincere in the lineup. That evaporated a lead. That changed the game. Now, West Virginia in that stretch got up to what? Biggest lead was 12?
12.
Yes.
Tony and I did talk in the break. I said to him during one of the breaks, I said, I feel like this should be 18.
No, you said that on the air.
Oh, did I say it on the air?
You said, well, I'm not sure you said 18, but you said you felt like that was a great point. The lead should be bigger considering how the game had gone.
Okay, so I didn't realize I said it like this. So that was a concerning part to me that I just felt. West Virginia was sloppy with the ball all night, right? They weren't crisp with their passes. Some turnovers were just out of thin air,
near
not
turnovers,
forced, and just didn't handle the ball. And I don't just mean the dribbling, just the handling of the ball was not good. So it wasn't super crisp by West Virginia. That was part of it. But there was that big run right there. And you went from 6:08 in the first half to 11:43 in the second. 6:08 remaining in the first half to 11:43 in the second. TCU was plus 22 points. So that was just a massive swing in a game you had control of. And Tony and I talked about this at halftime. eerily and scarily had an Arizona State feel to them.
Yes.
Where you're looking across there going, guys, you're better than you should be up on this game, and you really weren't, and you could have done some things differently, and you come out, and what do we say, Tony? The first 4 minutes of the second half, just like Arizona State, are going to be critical. Arizona State took control of that game here and ended up winning the game. TCU took control of it early. Now, West Virginia fought itself all the way back in, but ultimately fell short.
Tony, back to that second score, too, and it could have been Powell last night. I mean, Powell had looks. Powell had 8 shots. He knocked down one. You go, okay, now here you go. And he was 1 of 8. So you just don't have that other person that you can regularly depend on, right?
Right. I've said it multiple times. There is no margin for error with this team.
Right.
And so Javon Small, through the majority of this season, has been there game in and game out. You know what you're going to get. You're going to get, on an off night, 13, but most of the time it's going to be 19, 20 points.
Right.
Okay. So someone else has to do it. Cincinnati game, it was Joe Yesufu. Pops off there, he gets you 16. Last night, you did not have it. Now, you had looks.
He had 10 or 11. And
yeah, you had looks. Joe kind of kept him in there. And other than that, and again, I'm not going to call out players. You can do the math. I'll tell you this. Joe Yesufu and Javon Small were a combined 12 of 30, but they were 7 of 18 from 3. They were 7 of 18 from 3. That means that the rest of the team was 1 of 12.
Yeah.
Can't win that way, especially when you're not getting a fair whistle.
Or rebounds.
Yeah. Rebounds, they got out rebounded 34-26. But here's the thing that makes you mad. Percentage-wise, they outshot TCU from the field and from 3. They outscored them off of turnovers plus 13. They outscored them in the paint plus 6. Those are the things that make you want to mash your head and just go like, what?
Well, it has become so evident when, and Brad, you were talking about Sincere Harris, that a team that is really built upon defense, it starts with defense, that when Sincere Harris is such an integral part of that, and when he's not in there, boy, it makes this a gigantic difference. Then he got an ankle, right? Got a
leg, got an ankle, leg. It was an ankle and a leg, and so now you don't know what his status is for Saturday.
So
certainly hurt him not being out there.
Oh,
I referenced that Arizona State game. That was a plus 23 in points off turnovers, and you didn't win, which is just a mind-boggling number. And you're right, this was plus 13, and you lost. But you mentioned Hoppy. That was a good point. The game, there were multiple games within that game. Here was one. This was a massive stretch. West Virginia created 9 turnovers in the first 8 minutes of the game.
Yeah.
And that's where that defense was taking over. Absolutely changed how TCU was playing, and they had no real answer for that until, I mentioned, Sincere goes out. But then you went a 16-minute stretch, almost an entire half of game time, a 16-minute stretch where West Virginia only created 2 turnovers. Mm-hmm. And we asked Darren about that after the game, and some of it, and this is a good job by TCU. Again, Jamie Dixon's won a lot of games. He's a good coach too. TCU switched from ball passing, which West Virginia was getting a lot of hands on those and turning them over, a lot of deflections going the other way, to they went even heavier ball screen handoff, just dribbling, where it's more difficult to get turnovers or create steals like West Virginia was doing early. That, coupled with your best on-ball defender going out of the game for a big stretch, was a massive switch in that game. It took away West Virginia's ability to score, and we say this all the time, guys. There's a couple of easy ways to score. Shooting and running offense is sometimes hard in this league. Can you get points off turnovers and get in transition before they set up, or can you get to the free throw line? West Virginia has not been a team that gets to the free throw line very much during the season, but when the other team is doing it in a gap like that, that's where you get concerned. How are you overcoming that? How are you balancing that out? Points off turnovers is usually one way that West Virginia does it. But when that went cold for 16 minutes and they're still parading to the free throw line, getting their easy buckets for a team that was struggling offensively, for a team that couldn't shoot from the perimeter, that's the difference in the ballgame right there.
Three Guys Before the Game is brought to us by Tudor's Biscuit World. They've got something new there. If you want to treat yourself, say, hey, I've been a good boy or a good girl today, go by Tudor's Biscuit World, pop in there, and check out their new apple turnover. Why? Well, because it's flaky, because it's a wonderful golden pastry with sweet apple goodness. It is the perfect treat. Stop by, savor the taste of an apple turnover from Tudor's Biscuit World. Three Guys Before the Game is also brought to us by the tremendous folks at Go-Mart. They got a lot going on in this month of February. How about these deals? Caffeinated kickstart to your year. Go-Mart Reward members can grab their favorite Starbucks drinks, double shot, frappuccino, triple shot, 2 for just $7. I said 2 for just $7. That's not all. If you have the app, get the app. More deals, including 2 for $10 Jack Links, $3.99 Lay's chips. Not a member? Don't be a loser. Sign up today and get through with a Go-Mart savings automatic deal in your pocket. Put it on your phone and have the Go-Mart app. Check it out. Now we're ready for Spreads on Stats.
Sure.
Can I get an amen from the congregation?
Please, let's hear Spreads on Stats. I'm almost leery of hearing this.
I think it might make us more angry.
Give you some. You got some.
Oh, you got some things?
So I check the numbers.
But you got a good
We'll just go right to the numbers. Here comes a heater.
Let's jump into the analytics portion of the show.
Ready? 5, 4, 3, 2.
Spreads on Stats is brought to us by the Conley CPA Group. They're the accounting firm that doesn't get nervous during tax season because they be cool. Value beyond numbers is what they provide to all of their clients. Complete service public accounting consultation. 40th year anniversary going on right now, based right here in the great state of West Virginia. They can outsource your accounting. They can outsource your CFO services. Now that Kercheval's retired, he's got
semi-retired.
Now that Kercheval's retired, don't know where he is, haven't seen him. He's got multiple streams of income, and so he's got to figure all that out. He walked in his.
You're right. I need to.
You need to call Conley.
I call Conley.
Straighten away.
It's the official. We use them here on Three Guys Before the Game with the 8 cents that we make. So they can handle us. They can handle you too. Conley CPA. All right. Did you get mad when you put these together?
Just numbers.
Did you mumble?
Just put numbers down.
Did you mumble at all?
Yeah, I did it. I did it on the plane last night, right after the game. Yeah. Zart.
Did you? Were you watching next there to Corey? Were you watching his tape?
I was watching a lot. I was watching what Darren was watching. I was watching what Corey was doing. I was trying to lean over and see what T.O. was doing.
What stood out to you when you were watching the tape?
Again, for BYU?
No.
For this
last
one?
Night's game. When they were watching last night's game back, what peed you off?
Same things that peed you off during the game.
Because it makes you more angry when they stop and freeze it, and you see Javon Small's body go back and get hit, and no call, and you go that's what makes you mad.
Or you see on a potential offensive rebound when there's a forearm in the back that crumples the defensive rebounder who's in perfect position, and you're not able to jump and get the ball. But yeah.
That's why I'm glad I closed my eyes and went to sleep. I didn't need to see that.
Oh.
Don't need to watch.
You saw it enough up close and personal.
Yeah. Enough of that.
Let's look at some of these numbers, and we'll start with free throws because I do think that's the biggest story coming out of the game. And, again, if you're TCU, that's what you're saying today, Hop. You're thrilled you got that whistle and you went to the line. And they should be proud of themselves for making the shots at the line they did. I'm still, as much as I'm baffled by the gap in attempts, I am totally flummoxed by their ability, that team, to be one of the worst in the country. And I mean that literally. They were 357, 359 out of 367 going in, 63% from the line, shot 87%.
And by the way, for you, the over-under on the number of times you called for a miss last night was at 8.5.
My jinx was not working. I was trying to speak it into existence.
I understand. I'm familiar
now
with
they're due, Tony, for a miss here. They shoot 63% on the year.
Which is guaranteed every time. Every time you said that, they made it.
I'm familiar with
and then I'd said it so much, I had to keep tripling down. I just kept pushing my chips in damn it, it's not working. I'm doing it again.
You know what happened?
You went all in. What happened?
End of the night, he had no chips.
I busted.
He put them all in.
I busted. I'm walking out. My pockets are empty. I got nothing.
And they made I don't know when they missed free throws.
Lost the credit too.
Must have been the first half because the second half they must have made everything.
It is a classic case of when a bad free throw shooting team makes their first three. It's almost like a virus that goes positive. Hey, man, 3. Hey, man, Vashon just made his. And all of a sudden, and now off it goes.
I mean, all due respect, they had dudes stepping up, shooting the ball, going sideways spin.
Had a few
They had some
knuckleballs.
janky-looking shots that
Had
were
a few
going.
knuckles.
All right, here's the numbers. I said I wasn't going to pound the desk. I pounded the desk.
Pounded.
Here you go. So that was the biggest one to me. 63% free throw shooting team hits 87%. Talk about an outlier. 31% of TCU's points came from the free throw line. That's a great way to get some easy points. When your offense isn't very good and then is struggling on top of that, that's a great way to counteract that. So, again, credit them for stepping to the line and hitting those. That's a TCU season high in Big 12 play in free throw attempts.
No.
Season high in makes in Big 12 play.
No.
And a season high in Big 12 play in free throw percentage.
Jeez.
Stunning.
TCU free throw attempt rate, which we talk a lot about, and again, spent a lot of time on this stat during the Hugs era because this was West Virginia. They did that. West Virginia got to the line a bunch during an era when at times it struggled offensively, and it picked up a lot of free points at the line. It is a strategy that can work. TCU's free throw attempt rate, so free throw attempts divided by shot attempts. It's a measure there, Hop, of how much you're going to the line versus you're making field goals, right? Or shooting field goals. Their free throw attempt rate last night was up 16% over its previous 5 games. West Virginia's free throw attempt rate last night was down 10% over its last 5. So just in that small 5-game conference sample size, what's that swing? That's a 26-point swing, percentage point swing right there.
Yeah. I don't think this is helping. I don't think.
Well, I didn't say I was helping.
This isn't making me feel better.
I just told you I was going to give you some stuff. This is a number segment. Go back to TCU's previous 7 games prior to playing West Virginia. The opponents, I'll work in reverse order. The opponent's free throw attempt rate, 31%, 42%, 36%, 18%, 29%, 59%, 41%, all Big 12 games. That's how much they were sending teams to the line. 31, 43, 37, 19, 29, 59, 41, and 17%. West Virginia's free throw attempt rate, 8.6%. Outlier. Just an incredible.
Yeah, that's what you look for,
outlier.
Is the outlier, right? You might say, well, yeah, it wasn't quite, but I mean, when it's that much of an outlier, it just stands out.
Last thing here. West Virginia, that's the second most opponent free throw attempts in Big 12 play. It's the second most opponent makes in Big 12 play. Colorado made 24 free throws, but we're only +4 in that category. TCU plus 18-point differential in the free throws made. That TCU performance, 31% of its points, ties Kansas's 31%. So you tie something in Kansas when it comes to foul shooting prowess, you've done something well. Couple of positive notes for West Virginia coming out of there. Moved the ball extremely well, Hop. I mentioned the reaction to the pressure defense, which you're seeing teams start to do. West Virginia's points off cuts to the basket have increased over the last few games. What drives that? Really good passing. And West Virginia had some good passing. Second most assists in a game last night, 19 on 25 made free throws. So that's a massive assist rate right there. That's 76%. That's really good. West Virginia's normally down in that 50% range, which is also good, but that was impressive last night. A couple other notes. We've been talking about this for most of the season. If you could get some more out-of-bounds plays last night, Hoppy, you would have won the game. They left the lane wide open all night.
You were calling for that as well many times.
You listened really well last night.
I listened very closely last night.
West Virginia had 18 points off baseline out of bounds and sideline out of bounds.
Wow.
They were carving them up on set plays off of dead balls there.
West Virginia should have more times, knocked the ball off of a TCU player so they could do an inbounds play.
A baseline
they had
bounds.
one in particular stood out. It was a beautiful play. I think it was a baseline inbounds. There were 2 passes and got it to Javon, who curled around. That was a beautiful play.
Yeah, they were clicking there. After timeouts, we say that a lot. If West Virginia gets the ball coming out of a timeout, you feel pretty good about the position you're in. Again, last night, 12 points coming out of timeouts. That's back-to-back games where West Virginia's had a season high in Big 12 play coming out of timeouts. So you mentioned some of those numbers you look at and go, okay, that's usually a win for West Virginia. That's one. You get a lot of points out of a timeout. That's a benefit and a positive for West Virginia. It usually turns into a win. Here's one that's, you talk about maddening. I'll give you.
I don't need any more.
I'll give you maddening.
I'm good.
He's
I'm
got
filled
it
with my maddening.
Evan Miyakawa, who runs an advanced analytics site, it's really good. EvanMia.com. Evan, MIYA.com. Friend of Sportsline. We've had him on a bunch. He has a stat called kill shots. These are runs of 10 points or more that a team goes on and or can give up. So he tracks these. I'm kind of going back doing my own tracking of these over the last few games. Here's some numbers. If a team has 2 runs of 10 plus 0 runs, streaks, they win 88% of the time. So if you can get on 2 10-0 or more runs, you win the game. West Virginia did that once prior to last night against Oklahoma State. How'd that game go?
Got a W.
You did it again last night.
Son of a pup.
You had 2 runs of 10 points or more, and you win 88% of the time, and you didn't get the win. Now,
they probably did too.
TCU had 1. When you're plus the kill shots, when you are 1 plus kill shot or more, you win 81% of the time. West Virginia
was neutral.
Was plus 1.
We were plus 1.
We had 2. They had 1. You're still
yeah.
plus 1. That should kick you to at least an 80% win, and it just didn't happen.
Well, I did a little math at halftime. We were combined 25-2 this year when leading by 10 or more points in a game and leading at halftime. We were combined 25-2.
Okay, to add to that, I'll give you another one. Going into last night, West Virginia 12-1 when leading at the half.
Yeah, I know.
TCU 3-9 when trailing at the half.
I know.
But here's what's that every statistic though can have a variance depending on circumstance. And the variance last night was, yes, West Virginia was leading at the half, but who had momentum for the last 4 minutes of the half? Right? I mean, TCU went in the locker room with a spring in their step.
Middle 8, Brad. Middle 8. Last
and
four of the
came
first
out of the
half,
locker
first four of
room.
the second half. They won it.
Came out of the locker room with a spring in their step. And West Virginia's like, wow, what just happened to the 12-point lead? What happened to that?
What's wild about that is you could see Darren in the huddle right before the second half started. Mm-hmm. And he was old school, Old Testament, fire and brimstone with those guys right around him. And they were completely locked in on him. And he was telling them exactly that. That's exactly what he was telling them. And then they went, that's what bums you out. And those are the things from a coaching standpoint that just frustrates the heck out of you because, like, guys, I told you, here it is. I'm just saying, that's what really spun that whole thing.
Yeah, and that's true. I would just say also that, and this is not making excuses, as I always like to say, the other team gets to play too. And sometimes they make a couple plays, and then you're like, oh,
I don't disagree 100%. But someone has to win the first 4 minutes of this. That's my point. Someone has to win the first 4 minutes. And so you just say to yourself, we are not losing. So that means you have to take meticulous care of the ball. That means you have to do everything right. And last night they just weren't crisp enough and crisp enough. And that could be for various reasons. But that was the essence of that game.
Yeah, and that's the thing, guys. I know sometimes people get bummed out when we start going down some of these officiating numbers, and it's not absolving West Virginia from how it played.
Right.
It was not its sharpest game. But what you're looking at there, Hop, you're on the road, and there were enough pieces there that you thought you were going to walk out with a road win.
Right.
It swung because of one element of that. Could you have done some things better that got you the win? Absolutely could. But, man, you were close. I talked about that. You go on the run. You had points off turnovers. You were passing the ball extremely well. Your center, Amani Hansberry, had 4 assists last night. You want to look at some wild numbers. You get your center that's having 4. That means your offense, for the most part, is getting the shots at once. It ended with 8 threes. You're in the ballpark. You make 9 or more, you're 10-2 on the season. So as much as you struggled in the first half making threes, that got to about where it needs to be for this team. So you're right there. It just got tipped because of TCU's work at the free throw line.
You also needed to make those 2 free throws at the end when you were down 3, right?
Yeah.
Or down 5, down 3, whatever it was.
Well, you were tied.
You were tied and missed 2 free throws.
Oh, you were tied. That's when it was. Okay.
Let's do Utah.
I'll give you Utah.
Oh, you're going to give me Utah? You got Utah?
No, all I got is this. You've lost 4 of 5. You're home for 2. Ken Palm still has you at 42, 44. Where are you? Somewhere in there?
I don't know what it
So
was last
it's
night.
you got 2 home games.
Sold out Saturday.
Sold out Saturday. So you got a great chance against a team that's like you. They're like 5 and 6 in the league, something like that. You're right in the middle with them. You have a great opportunity to get right. You're not playing the best team in the league. You're not on the road. You're home against a team that has about the record you do. Sold out crowd. Go win the game.
The return of Josh Eilert.
That's right.
Yeah, Josh will be back.
Josh will be back.
It'll be good to see him.
Absolutely.
Hope he gets. I mean, he's not introduced, but I would think he'll get some cheers again for what he did last year, stepping in front of that flying train down the tracks,
Sure,
and trying to stabilize as much as possible. So it'll be good to see Josh. All right, here's Utah.
It'd be kind of nice maybe if they did do that.
I think they probably
if
will.
they did.
I think you'll get some.
Just like, hey, ladies and gentlemen, we please welcome back. I mean, hell yeah, do that.
Well, can you?
I don't have any say. It's been a long time, Hoppy, since we've seen the Utes. 27 years.
Really?
Since Carl Williams threw his towel out onto the floor and got a technical in the Sweet 16 of the NCAA tournament at the Pond in Anaheim, California.
Andre Miller
got a horrific whistle.
Horrific
Whistle in that game as they were covering Doliak's large backside. What was the foul calls in that game?
Rick Majerus very nearly missed tip-off.
Yeah.
Wow, you got a lot of memories
another
about that
separately from the team, got caught in traffic, arrived back in the tunnel like 10 minutes before tip. He's just walking in, got to get to the floor.
So we got screwed in that game too. They took 27 foul shots. We took 16. Hose job.
The technical on Williams was a bit much.
You lose 65-62. Carl Williams went like this with his towel.
Yeah,
just frustration, dropped it down, and it went onto the floor. Okay.
Pac-10
official
called it.
Exactly.
Pac-10 got called.
I remember him. Yeah, I remember him.
Jamie Dixon will get on the court. He'll get on the court.
He'll guard you.
Okay, enough.
He got his 5.
Here we go.
Listen,
he asked me about Utah preview.
On this podcast, it says whatever the symbol is for like no curse words. So let's just keep it that way. Don't keep prodding me so that I say something that will hurt our rating. Thank you.
I mean, I don't know how Javon Small doesn't get the free throw line.
I was just going to say one other thing. One other thing is that
I mean, how's the leading scorer in the conference guy that goes to the rack and gets drilled? How does he not get the free throw line?
Don't start.
All right, here we go. You ready, Utah? Hop, you're right. 5 and 6 in the league, like West Virginia. They have a win, their best win over BYU. 1 and 4 on the road in Big 12 play.
Okay.
So you like that?
Yeah.
Their one win.
Where
we just were last night. Win over TCU on the road. Good on the offensive glass, so we seem to say that a lot in this league. So you're going to have to rebound, position, watch forearms in your back. I don't know if Utah does that as much as some others, but you better watch that. Make sure you get in position. Now, stop me if you've heard this before.
Okay.
One of the bottom 6 teams nationally in free throw percentage.
Don't say that.
That's 3 in a row.
A horrific free throw shooting team. But here's the thing. Now, pay attention here, guys. They get to the free throw line a lot over the last 5 games. A 43% free throw attempt rate. If they did that for a season, it's in the 96th percentile. So they like to work inside. They do have some shooters too, but they get to the line a lot. And historically or traditionally this season have not made it from the free throw line. They're number one. So again, I'm just making my point. The reason we talk about this so much is because this has the ability to swing games. Whether you think you're getting a bad whistle or not, what happens at the free throw line can change games. And this is one of those, Hop, where if I'm putting together areas to watch in matchups, this is one, and here's why. Utah comes in number 1 in the Big 12 in free throw attempt rate. West Virginia, 16th. You've got to find a way to make up that gap. If you assume going in your scouting report that they're going to win the battle at the free throw line, unless they shoot like they normally do and go to line and can't make any. That would be nice. But if they go in and have a day shooting free throws and West Virginia holds its numbers and doesn't, you've got to where are you finding those points elsewhere? Are you going to make some more threes than them? Are you going to get more points off turnovers? You've got to find it somewhere. So that's going to be an important part of this game. What do they do at the line? How's this game called tomorrow?
How many free throws did West Virginia take at TCU last night?
6.
5.
5.
You know how many free throws Utah took at TCU?
How many?
29.
Excuse me?
Took 29 free throws and didn't shoot great, 19 of 29, but they took 29.
Obviously, the game was very different, though.
Very different game. They apparently shot all layups, went to the basket on every single attempt.
Jeez.
They've turned it over a lot in the last 5 games. So here's where you're looking for a point of differentiation. Yeah. If they're going to go to the line and get a lot of free throws, you better turn them over when they're not at the line. West Virginia is number 1 in the Big 12 in turnover rate versus West Virginia number 2 in the Big 12 in steal percentage, going against a team that turns it over the most in turnover percentage in the Big 12. There's your point of differentiation for West Virginia. Here's something to watch, though. This is the best passing team in the country in terms of assist rate. I mentioned last night West Virginia was off the charts with 76% of its baskets were assisted on. Mm-hmm. This team averages 69% of its baskets come off assists, so it's going to move the ball and pass the ball. Got to be ready for that. Defense, this will be interesting. They do everything, Hop, defensively. They're going to play some man. They're going to play some zone. They're going to throw a triangle in 2 and a box in 1.
The old triangle 2, box in 1.
There might be a little face guarding at Javon Small here with some box in 1. Mm-hmm. Now, we'll have to see what sticks. Last night, West Virginia was expecting TCU to go zone a lot. They did on like 2 possessions is all. They were having success in their man-to-man defense, so it didn't go that direction. But there's an expectation that Utah is going to throw everything at you defensively and try and what they're going for there, Hop, they're not great at any of those things, but they're trying to mix it up enough that they catch you on a couple possessions. You go box in 1, you don't normally see that. Oh no, you steal a couple possessions. Yeah. They go triangle in 2, you miss 2 shots. So they're going to throw a bunch of different things at you. One last thing. It's an interesting number found last night. West Virginia's conference strength of schedule per KenPom is number 2 right now. Second most difficult conference strength of schedule within the league. Utah's is 12th. So there's advantage West Virginia. But that surprised me on West Virginia's side. And we've been talking about that. I mean, you came out of the gate with some doozies. Does that schedule lighten up a bit? It did last night. That's West Virginia's worst loss in terms of where the KenPom ranking is. TCU was down in the 80th.
Hey, plus, you don't know the status of Sincere Harris.
That's a great point. That
is a huge point in this game.
Yes.
Tony, I know you want to move on from TCU, but just one other thing is that I thought for the first part of the game, first 15 minutes, I thought you guys were doing the game from your hotel room.
What does that mean?
It was like a tomb. It was so quiet.
Oh, it was. Yeah, it was right.
I mean, just where are the people? They aren't there. And
well, our location is pretty much in the parking lot at the football stadium.
I thought that's what he was talking about.
Oh, really? You were in the parking lot?
Took us off the floor.
Excuse me?
Took us off the floor, moved us up behind the basket.
Excuse me?
Yeah.
Up behind the basket?
Correct.
What's that about?
Money. They sold the seats that we would sit at.
Well, TCU's got. Well, I tell you what, they better sell this because they're not selling any other seats in the stadium. That's for sure.
That was our spot.
Are you kidding?
No.
And Hop, that's one of the disappointing parts of not walking out of there with a road win. There's some hard places in this league to play. It just turned out last night was not one of them.
Not one of them. No.
Yeah, you caught a break in terms of attendance and. Just you would have liked to walk out of there with a win in a game that you had early on.
That's where you guys. Wow, that's disrespecting, man. You got to file a complaint or something on that.
In all seriousness, I mean,
TCU's radio's up there too.
Oh, really?
Brian was right in front of him. It wasn't just us.
Now you don't think there might have been a problem if our boy Estridge was on the floor and we were in the air? That wouldn't have happened. So they put him up there too.
Jeez,
it's bad, not good. Impacts the broadcast. Can't do it as well. Anyway,
it's a shame.
So
okay, that's all I got.
Oh, you're
ready for textual healing.
Hey, this is the water segment. Lou Wendell Marine Sales happens to be the #1 pontoon boat dealer in the state of West Virginia. Guess what?
What?
Like yesterday when we were at TCU,
yeah,
it was in the 70s. It was nice, which means it won't be long before you're going to be on one of these. That's right. Pontoon season fast approaching. Lou Wendell Marine Sales, the oldest marine dealer in the state of West Virginia, 50-plus years, and the premier pontoon boat dealer in our state. They sell Avalon pontoon boats, happen to be manufactured right here in the United States of America, in the great state of Michigan. They were founded in 1973, and the folks at Lou Wendell have been doing business with them for a long, long time. So when it comes time for boating, they're the place you at least have to check out. Visit LouWendellMarineSales.com.
Did you see any at White Rock Lake near Fort Worth or Possum Kingdom Lake near Fort Worth?
Didn't make it over there.
Okay.
When we walked to lunch yesterday, we wished that we were in a boat.
Oh, yeah, a long walk.
It has situation.
Fort Worth is a neat city.
Yeah, nice, very nice city. Got some
Great downtown.
Campus was very
gorgeous,
nice.
Gorgeous campus. 3 guys before the game. Also, I said this is our water segment. You know, Comex Business Systems, they've been at it for over 40 years, and they do everything when it comes to business equipment. We talked about their business data and support on the IT side of things, plus every kind of piece of equipment you would need in a business. You know what else you need in a business?
What?
You need hydrated employees. Otherwise, they wither up like prunes during the course of the day, and they're just totally ineffective. So the folks at Comex Business Systems now have these amazing water cooler systems that both cold water, hot water, ice, you name it, they've got it. So if you're doing business with Comex, or you might want, if you're already a customer, you just say, hey, tell me more about this water and these new machines that you have. Really super neat. And great filtration, so you're drinking good, clean stuff.
You know,
keep your people hydrated.
If you're well hydrated, you don't need as much lip balm.
So true. Visit ComexWV.com. That's ComexWV.com. Let us do some healing. Let's do some healing. All right, Textual Healing brought to us by episode800.com. That's episode800.com. Go there and see all the stuff that we have, from apparel, coffee, from Mountaineer Roasting, popcorn. Freshest popcorn in the world, by the way, is going to be going out Saturday. It'll be there for you before Valentine's Day, so that'll be good. If you already got your order in, that's going to be... you'll be good to go. You'll be real good to go. We have an event, by the way, this weekend.
Oh, yeah.
You're familiar? You good with that, Hoppy?
Yes, sir. I'll be there.
Hoppy going to be there?
I'll be there.
Be there. Good deal.
Fun.
So if you remember, last summer we did a fundraiser with folks for the WVU Cancer Institute, and someone bid to have dinner with us. So we're going to have dinner with about a half dozen people.
Lord knows why they did, but...
We're going to have dinner with a half dozen people on Saturday, and really looking forward to that. They're from the Charleston area, but the money goes to the WVU Cancer Institute, and we'll talk about our next project. We've got another one in the hopper to help the Cancer Institute. Also, this reminder, our friend of the pod, Charles Wesley Godwin, getting ready to hit back out onto the road. It's his newest song is coming out Friday, which would be tomorrow. It's entitled It's the Little Things. And he'll also be releasing an EP titled Lonely Mountain Town on the 28th of this month. And he is getting bigger and bigger and bigger. No, I had to look up.
Yeah. He's blown up.
An EP, Hoppy, is not as long as an album, but it's a collection of songs longer than a single. And he'll be releasing that on the 28th.
Extended play, right?
Correct. Yeah, not a whole album. Also, Connection 304, we got news on that. The Brewski, they've extended it at Gomart.
Excuse me?
Hey, beer of the month for another month.
We're the beer of the month again for February now. If you haven't had it yet, check it out. Connection 30.
What's good with Super Bowl coming up on Sunday, right? I think that'd be a hit at your Super Bowl parties.
Yeah. I got an anecdotal info on that. Somebody texted me this morning and said they went to one of the Go-Marts. It sold out.
Really?
Yeah.
Where was that located?
Up there across from Godfelty.
Morgantown area.
Yeah.
Oh, that's my home venue.
That Go-Mart?
Yeah, that's my home court.
Well, I'm sure the distributors across the state who are hearing that, they'll immediately send their trucks out.
I'm out. I got to stop by. I'm out.
Hurry up. Super Bowl coming.
From the text line, I don't have the advanced stats like Brad does, but sometimes the basic numbers tell you all you need to know. Our last 5 losses were shooting 22% from the three-point line. If that was extended out for a full season, we would be the worst three-point shooting team in the country by 5 whole percentage points. If you take away Javon Small, the rest of our team is shooting 17.7, 18% from 3 during that time. Can't win with those numbers, especially in this league.
I keep waiting for JP's shots to fall. And they were on target last night, Brad. They were just like right there.
It's coming. He's too good of a shooter. It's coming.
It'll come. Hey, three guys, I got my Mountaineer Munch today. Fantastic as usual. One issue, though. It's already gone.
Uh-oh.
Sorry to hear that. Texter, I see where Matt Rule, the Nebraska coach, is canceling their spring game so players can't be poached. They lost 6 after last year's spring game. I thought I remember you guys saying you were going to lose players once they find out where they stand after spring. Is Rule overreacting, or is this a trend?
Trend.
Talk to a guy.
Trend alert coming.
Talk to a non-WVU person in the college football space over the last couple of days. Said something really interesting.
Yes.
Said the key for them, this is not WVU, this was just a different place. The key for them, what they're trying to do in spring, is not let the players on the team know where they are on the depth chart. Because if they know they're 1, they'll go ask for more money. If they know they're 3, they'll leave and go into the portal. So they're what's that word?
Obfuscate. They're obfuscating.
They're obfuscating their depth chart, going, "Hey, Hoppy, no, you're not 3, Hoppy. I mean, you're about 1.5. You're right there. You just got to come back in August, Hoppy, and we're going to get you a starting job."
2 things about college coaches. College coaches are the 2 P's. They are positive, right? Here we go. And they are paranoid. Okay, so they're paranoid about losing players, understandable, but also there might be a trend to just not have a spring game, but have something like a Pro Bowl event, right? We'll just have activities with the players, have some fun things, still have the fans come in, still be a fundraiser, for whatever you're trying to do, but have some fun with it. Coaches hate spring games anyway, right? So you could change it up and have more fun with it rather than sort of trying to create a pseudo game and maybe have more fan interaction, and you could do it differently.
It's an incredibly difficult game to simulate. That's why the NFL Pro Bowl has gone to contest, because you can play a fake baseball game or an exhibition baseball game. It's hard to do.
Yeah,
hockey, it's hard to do.
Baseball's the best.
Yeah,
because
baseball's perfect.
You're not all of a sudden going to throw 52 miles an hour when you normally throw 95.
Correct.
Right? You're not going to swing less hard.
Right.
Baseball's the best.
Baseball's the most
all right, go ahead,
suited.
Go ahead.
Jason from Phoenix, that's our boy. I got a lot to cover here, so line up and handle it. Why do officials insist on going to the monitor when it's way too early for the call to affect either team's strategy? It doesn't involve foul shots or a possession. Do it during the next media timeout so not to affect the flow of the game. Bunch of divas. Then he takes a shot between, I mentioned, physical therapists and chiropractors. I'm not getting in that.
Please don't.
Don't need it.
Please don't.
I didn't realize that I started Rate My Plate. Brad would probably say I channeled my inner Tony, just threw out an idea, then walked away and watched it burn. Got one for you, though. This was my first plate at the team's reveal dinner for a golf tournament at my club. Ready? Ribs, chicken, steak, loaded baked potatoes. Somewhere under that is a pile of spicy baked beans. Second plate, look at that plate.
Oh, wow.
A duplicate of the first, plus I needed a few more Stellas. Yeah.
He went with Stella Artois, not Connection.
That's not out there yet. Lastly, at my golf club, I had a good fortune to meet Charlie Regal, who used to coach the Sun Devils football team at Arizona, same time as Rich was there. I asked him for some really good books on football strategy. He gave me Bill Arnsparger's Coaching Defensive Football and Cameron Soren's The Pass Coverage Glossary. That'd be good for you, Hoppy, because you always like to learn.
I do.
Please inform Coach Rod that he now has at his disposal a double agent who is willing to go into the belly of the beast to gain more information for the old Golden Blues trip to Tempe. I don't care how many rounds of golf I have to play or how many beers I have to drink, I'll handle it.
By the way, I had lunch with Steve Dunlap yesterday.
Saw the video.
And he could not really, he just, Brad, what did he do?
Diagrammed. Just salt shaker and pepper shaker started diagramming.
Just started diagramming. He says, now look, here's how you do this. Here's how you do this. It was classic. I loved it.
I thought that was interesting. He showed that to me. Hey, three guys, Jim in Preston County, your episode 613, 613, last episode, will have a special place in my heart forever. It was recorded on my last day of work before I retired, joining Hoppy. Although I'm retiring at an earlier age, I was very happy to see the football schedule no longer is penalizing us with that extra Power 5 game. Another brilliant move by Ren Baker. Finally moving in line with the rest of the Ren hasn't.
That wasn't his schedule.
That wasn't his schedule. It was going to end. Finally moving in line with the rest of the country, with Rich Rod back in town, maybe those two factors will bring us back to success we had the first time. Looking forward to football and renewed optimism. Thank you. Good, Jim, congratulations on your retirement. And you're right. I know it was earlier than Hoppy retired because Hoppy should not have waited until he was 83. Hey, three guys, just a heads up. Saturday, we will once again be bringing our army of kids over from Landon's Library Youth Basketball League in Garrett County, Maryland for the Utah game. One of the highlights of their night is to come down and meet you three after the game when they converge to shoot free throws on the floor. Looking forward to seeing you guys this weekend. Brian from Deep Creek. Well, two will be there.
Yeah, you too.
Hoppy will be getting ready for that big dinner.
Yep.
Good day, gentlemen. Inspiration for Connection 304. I may be crazy, but the word connectivity seems to have made its way into the sports lexicon, particularly in basketball. Prior to this season, I don't remember hearing that word much, if at all. Coach DeVries certainly uses that word almost every time he talks about the team. The word is used on just about every college broadcast. And I've even heard the word used on some NFL broadcasts. It's a great word to describe playing together as a cohesive unit. But I think some high-priced consultant at a coach's clinic must have used that term, and now everyone runs with it. So long, togetherness, teamwork, chemistry, and welcome, connectivity. Thank you, Rob, in Atlanta.
Things run in spells.
A texter asks, is it just me, or is Jamie Dixon turning into Grandpa Munster, hairdo and all?
Won his 500th last night. Your mic.
Sorry,
Turn your mic on.
Did you say something?
Turn your mic on.
Had a heck of a career.
And it's one of those guys that West Virginia, it's interesting, when you lose rivals, right, because you change leagues, West Virginia's connected to him, right? Because of the pit days, it's just like, oh, yeah, Jamie Dixon, we know him.
Just remember, they do have to return that game
later
this month.
Yes. Yeah.
Three guys, tough loss out here in Fort Worth, never fun to lose. However, when you're a time zone away, it's nice to see friendly faces to watch the Mountaineers win or lose. We had a section into the 200s that I'm confident covered the Mid-Ohio Valley from Jackson to Wood County. Nice to briefly talk with you and Brad on the way out. Signed by Cody in Fort Worth via Ravenswood.
Cody, very nice. Had that Jerry West throwback jersey on.
Yeah. He did.
Look good. Thanks, Cody.
He had some folks there. Had some folks there last night.
Oh yeah, they're Mountaineers there. Yeah,
good.
He knew Mick Price.
Oh really?
Basketball coach at Ravenswood. Yeah. Charlie from Midlothian, perhaps an in-show text. I know we don't talk about the officiating, but
we don't.
Was Buck body checked when he hurt his ankle and the TCU player went for that uncontested dunk? You guys were there. How about describing the officiating in one word?
He was going for a loose ball. That's when the contact happened. Real quick, I got one rate my plate. We got to get in here. We're behind. We got to get a quick rate my plate. Jake, put this in. Hoppy, I'd never seen this before.
Yep. Okay.
On a trip, been on a lot of buses. Never seen this.
What are we? What?
Your boy with a made-to-order omelet there. We had to get to shoot around, so he just brings the silverware, the plate, everything right on the bus. The bus is moving right there. We're headed to shoot around, and your boy's over here with his made-to-order omelet and the plate and silverware and napkin. You see a napkin there? Just took it all out of the dining room. So I'll bring it back.
I brought it back.
Gonna get a bill. Gonna get a bill.
He did bring it back, but I'd never seen that.
We ate really well.
Didn't go through a drive-thru, just took it out of the bar. He's going to conference room, just going to go to the bus. Gets on there, just taking a big bite. Coach, good to see you. Good to see everybody.
I was hungry.
High fives, Javon. I just eaten an omelet up here. Don't mind me.
Brad, you know this. Do not get between Tony and food. It is going to be...
Let me show you some of the stuff we ate. Real quick here, Jake. Put some of those pictures up. We went to dinner with their play-by-play guy, Brian Estridge, who's one of the...
What's that?
That is fig gargonzola on balsamic glaze.
That was good.
That was really good. Go ahead. Next one. Look at my plate. That was mine. Fruta de mare. You had scallops, shrimp, and mussels in that baby. That was tremendous. And what else do we have? Oh, we drank a lot of coffee yesterday.
Did you?
Went to 2 different places. So we were well caffeinated.
Yeah.
And that was really good. And then, we went to this place. What was the name of it? What was it?
Panther City?
Panther City. So that is that on the left, that's jalapeno mac and cheese. Then you got on the right, you got some different things. But go back, hit another one, Jake. So look inside that thing. The bottom is a massive piece of fried bologna. On top of that is brisket. On top of that is pulled pork. To the left of that, you got a burnt end. And then on the upside there, that's jalapeno sausage.
Really? Man, oh, man.
Did you take a picture of the sandwich?
Go ahead. You got anything else? Did I give you anything else? Was that it? That might have been it.
You guys ate well.
Oh, yeah. We're not playing, Hoppy. I mean,
I understand.
You got to go in there.
Plus, the Estridge, he knows where to go, right?
That was on the barbecue was on his recommendation, too.
Yeah, he pointed us into that.
He's a friend of the program.
Yeah, he's a great dude. He's a great dude.
Just has a bad seat for the ball game.
Yeah. I mean, I thought he could have staged a protest with the TCU people and refused to go off the floor, but I mean, didn't get to that. It's all right. That's all right. So, Monday we're back, and we will recap the contest against the Utah Utes, and we'll also look ahead to the BYUs. It's Utah week coming up on the
conference. Geographic connection there.
Yeah,
West Virginia and Utah.
Travel partners.
Yeah.
Travel partners, something like that. All right, we're out. Three Guys brought to us by Comax Business Systems, keeping West Virginia's business data safe, secure, efficient for 25 years. By Gomart. You get a Gomart rewards card.
Is Utah the new Maryland now?
Go to gomart.com for details. They've also extended Beer of the Month. Once again, February, it's Connection 304. Lou Wendell Marine Sales in St. Albans. It's all the family fun. Visit LouWendellMarineSales.com.
New
By
Virginia
Tudor's
Tech.
Biscuit World. Start your day the homemade way. Plus, they got some great specials going on. That apple turnover, that potato soup. Plus, they got the buy one, get another one for $1. Like, go to Tudor's Biscuits and just do it. And by the Conley CPA Group, providing value beyond numbers. All right. Our time is complete. For the Hopster, the Senator, producer Jake, that'll do it. Three Guys before the game. Stay well. See you.